Hello, this is Citi Simplified on Citi TV. My name is Richard Dela, and you are welcome to this edition of the program, which will be unpacking for you the big controversy around our oil and gas resources in the Western region and what the government of Ghana intends to do with those resources as part of the government's plans to pursue the remainder of the CDB loan coming in from China. Today, I'm here with Kojo Akoto Boateng, my colleague, who will be helping us to unpack this controversy for you. You're welcome. Kojo, so what exactly are we talking about here? 3 days ago, the opposition New Patriotic Party held a press conference and leaked details of an internal memo, and I'm talking about government memo, which suggests that the government of Ghana intends to use part of our gas resources in the Western region as collateral for fresh loan from China. What do we know as we speak?
Well, basically, the government of Ghana initiated moves to get the $3 billion from the Chinese Development Bank. This was some years ago, somewhere around 2011, 2012, which was approved by Parliament. Now, we got the first tranche of the money from the loan, and we want to unlock the rest, if I should put it that way. We want the CDB to release the rest of the $3 billion loan. But there's a problem. The problem is collateral security. With the initial loan that we signed, agreement we signed, we got money from the CDB to construct the Ghana gas plants. Now, we need to be able to pay back the loan. We need to be able to assure them that we can pay back the loan. So we need to give them something. The initial agreement was to give about 13,000 barrels of our oil daily to pay the loan. But we all know the challenges we've gone through with our oil production, oil prices on the world market.
The collapse of oil prices
yes.
on the international market.
And we all know the government's need for more funds to run the country. Okay. So we've been going for Euro bonds, we are borrowing locally. The next one we've been told we are going to do is the diasporan bonds. So the government needs money, and there is an already signed master facility agreement with China for $3 billion, which we had about $1 billion released. So the government wants the rest released. So there was a presidential task force which was formed sometime in 2015 to look at the modalities and how we can unlock the rest of the funds from China. So at the moment, there's the suggestions or the recommendations by the task force is for us to look at using our gas resources as collateral to get China to release the rest of the funds so that we will invest in other areas.
So viewers, we're talking about the gas resources in the Western region, and we're talking about the gas deposits that are within the Jubilee field enclave, if I'm permitted to use that.
I think this is where I get to ask you the questions.
Okay, that's fine.
So you broke the news after the opposition raised the alarm.
Okay.
And then you interviewed the Deputy Minister of Power. I believe this is more of a petroleum issue, but he agreed to answer questions related to this.
Exactly.
What did he tell you?
Well, he practically dismissed all the claims that the MPP made at that press conference. Mind you, the MPP spoke about a number of things and predicted that if John Dramani Mahama is elected again President of the Republic of Ghana in this year's elections, we will see Doomsor return in all its vicious glory. And they based their argument on a number of things. That first of all, we'll see fresh problems with the tyrant of the, what do you call it?
Talo, the main Jubilee partner.
Which is the FPSO.
Yes, it's been going through all these challenges, exactly. And the challenges still persist. Exactly. So that was one argument they raised. The other was also to do with water levels at Akosombo, which we followed up. So exactly. We predicted at Citi FM a year or two ago that if the water level kept dropping, we would have to shut down Akosombo. Back then, only 3 of the turbines, 3 out of the 6 were working because the water level kept dropping. Right. Now, the good news on that front is that the water level has seen some marginal increases, which is giving us hope. But when we enter the dry season, and it doesn't rain, it's likely we are going to get back to where.
Mind you, Mr. Ejako, who is the policy advisor of the NPP, in addressing this matter, made it clear that they have information that suggests that the government or the managers of the Akosombo Dam presently are overdrafting that dam, which is to say that they are using more water out of the desperation to raise a lot more power for us to consume than should have been the case given the water level at the moment. And that they are predicting that if the trend continues, we may run into serious problem going forward. And they also predicted that the imports of power we're seeing from Cote d'Ivoire will not continue into the next administration, and that there could set in a number of factors that will require that Ghana would have to depend on its own locally generated power, and that if power is not coming in from Cote d'Ivoire, we have a problem with the gas facility in the western region, and also given that we have a protracted problem with gas supply from Nigeria, we could return to doom so, because in any case, the situation with the Nigerians is a question of our inability to pay the Nigerians what we owe them. Not so. So the Honorable Jinapor responded to all these things, practically dismissing the claim that, look, we are returning to doom so, dismissing the claim that there is some government action to commit our gas resources to the Chinese for as many as 19 years. And a day later, we heard from the finance minister.
Yes, who basically explained whatever was happening, explained the fact that we needed to get the rest of the loan, and we also needed to give them some kind of security. Mind you, in the initial stages when we were building the Ghana gas plant, there were financing problems because the Chinese were not releasing the money, and Sinopec, which was constructing the plant, had to raise a lot of issues till the first tranche of money was released, about $180 million, and then the rest followed till we constructed the plant. Now, this is what is happening. We need to be able to give the Chinese the security, collateral security, or whatever the finance.
To get the remainder of $2 billion.
To get the remainder. And also, to be able to export our gas, we need to invest between $700 million to $1.2 billion to set up a jetty and other facilities at Etiabo so that we can export our gas. So we need a lot more money from the Chinese partners, which is CDB, to be able to invest in all these. And a chunk of the CDB loan is also going to the provision of landing beaches and other things. Okay. Now, from the memo that I've seen, there are a lot of interesting angles. So the president met the Chinese premier recently, and one of the assurances, the goodwill assurances, is that the Chinese are even going to build new landing beaches for us for free. And they are also going to build offices for the finance ministry.
Wow. That is part of the arrangement that the president
that is part of the goodwill that we've been given.
Okay. And in return, we are committing our gas resources in the western region, at least Jubilee.
Because we have to pay our loan.
And it's happening, it will start in 2018. Yeah. That's the proposal. That's the proposal. Okay. So what do we know so far we could have used the gas resources in the western region for?
Well, after they produce gas.
Or in other words, why is this bad news, as some experts argue?
Well, it's bad news if you look at it on different fronts. That's our main source of gas in the country for now, because you're not getting gas from Nigeria. Remember, previously we used to have LPG shortages and all that, but these days with Ghana gas, we don't have it as much as, we virtually don't have it. Now, if you are going to give the gases or the gas, because after the processing of the gas, different kinds of gases, so methane, propane and all that, if you are going to give those extra gases to China, it has implications on LPG supply locally. That's something we must also look at. But I want to assume that the government is looking at other gas resources. So Sankofa gas, the 10 fields and all that. But are they going to be on schedule? Do you have the financing for all that? We know the World Bank gave some 750 million guarantee for Sankofa, but what is happening with the other resources and the other developments? That is why industry players are raising the alarm. If by 2018 we are shipping our gas to China and other projects are not on stream, how do we sustain the local market? How do we produce more thermal power? Because mind you, we are gradually moving away from hydropower to thermal power. So how do we ensure we produce cheap power to sustain the economy and to grow businesses? That is one of the key arguments that industry is raising.
Thank you very much, Kojo, Akoto, Boateng. So my name is Richard Sky. As we've explained, we have been trying to unpack for you the big issues surrounding the government's intentions, as later confirmed by the Honorable Seth Terkper, Minister responsible for Finance and Acting Minister responsible for Power, to export a huge chunk of our gas from the western region to China as part of plans to help unlock, the remainder of the CDB loan. Ghana has so far received $1 billion from the Chinese, and the President John Dramani Mahama has set up a presidential task force who he has mandated to work out modalities for unlocking the remainder of what the Chinese said originally they were going to give to us. Before I go though, let me just say quickly that there's an aspect of this matter that will require that Parliament is made to look into the deal again. Mind you, the government initially went before Parliament and requested Parliament to pass the deal that covered $3 billion from the Chinese to the people of Ghana. When the government had difficulty going forward, it went back to Parliament and asked Parliament to cap what they were expecting from the Chinese at 1.5 billion US dollars. Well, now that the government has plans to go back to the Chinese, offer new things so that they can give us more money, raising the money back to $3 billion, it is my contention, reading all the provisions governing how these transactions are done, that the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana may have to be called upon again by the government to look into the deal and then make a determination whether or not the government should indeed commit our oil resources or gas resources the way they intend to do, and whether or not we actually need $3 billion in oil.